Hey, this is Kitty Anderson again. I am a board certified menopause coach and I am 64 years old and using HRT successfully for 14 years. Been on the paleo diet and combined with the autoimmune protocol for about 10. That's an anti-inflammatory diet. You can see my nutrition videos if you want to learn more about that. It becomes more critical in menopause because we've got low levels of estradiol and low levels of nutrients coming into our body. So it's one of those things that I focus on, but you should focus on getting HRT first. It is safe, it is effective. Today I'm going to talk about pain. So this is really sad. I know this is really hard for you. I had fibromyalgia back at menopause. That was 2007 for me. And I had just moved into a new house. I had lots of toxins. I was cleaning my own house. It was 5,000 square feet and insanity. Why did I do that? I was also kind of locked in with the fumes in there. And so that made this like perimenopause from hell. And that just about killed me. I thought fibromyalgia was forever. So fibromyalgia is a different kind of pain because your body is hypersensitized to pain. And so I really had a full recovery from that. But I do a lot of things I call HRT plus, and I'll put my treatments at the end here so that you can see. And I'm going to walk you through the different kinds of pain that are based on our hormone levels and talk to you about different solutions that you can use. It's very holistic, and I take a very natural approach to this as much as I can, but I'm not looking at herbs or supplements. And the reason I don't is the herbs can interfere with your HRT. The supplements can also interfere with your HRT, and drugs can interfere with your HRT. It's a lot. So we have to kind of tiptoe through this and try to get to a solution that's not going to hurt us. So that's kind of my plan for the day, is to give you kind of the bird's eye view on pain. But your HRT is critical. It is critical for eliminating pain. All right, let's get to the details. So let's talk about every woman's experience, because you may not have fibromyalgia at menopause. So your experience at menopause is very individual. There is a lot based on your genetics. This is why we don't compare to another woman. We really can't compare. There's the universal laws of hormones, and there's the things that they do. And there are 120 functions between estradiol, progesterone, and testosterone. So one of the major functions is pain and pain management. So there's a combination of things happening. Your perception of pain is in your brain, right? So you've got all these nerves kind of feeding into the brain. So the estradiol is going to play a role in the brain's sensitization to pain. So you want it to have a realistic impression of pain. It's a survival mechanism. Of course, we want to be able to tell if we put our hand on a hot stove, right? So we want a realistic impression of pain. And what happens in menopause is that our estradiol drops to about 1/25th of what it was in premenopause, right? 1/25th. Your pain sensations aren't being read correctly. You're getting lots of noise on those pain signals, and it's heightened. It's going to be way off and unrealistic compared to what's happening at your nerve endings. The other thing is that your testosterone drops a little later than your estradiol, but the testosterone is in all the nerve endings. So also, if you don't have any testosterone in your body, you are going to feel a very heightened sense of pain, because your pain signals are going to all be wacky. Everything's going to be off. You are guaranteed to have pain. And the sad thing is, we think this is aging We absolutely think, oh, I'm just in my 50s, I'm getting older, everything's getting worn out. Well, it's not worn out actually, and things can rejuvenate with HRT. When you have HRT in your body, your testosterone is keeping your muscles and ligaments and tendons all healthy and happy, and they're not going to hurt. And then the estradiol in the brain is going to keep you having a realistic impression of pain. So that's where it works in the brain. There's special receptors for this. So in spite of the fact that we know this, none of our OBGYNs care if you have HRT. And it's like, oh my God, you're basically putting all people over age 45 even in pain, all women over age 45 in pain. Why is that allowed to happen? I have no idea. I have no idea. That's why I've got this channel. It's just, I want you to know that this is all controlled by hormones. And these hormones are protective. That's the best way to think about HRT. It is protective. We have identical molecules in our HRT. We have big categories of drugs, of HRT drugs, and you got to pick out the best ones. So if you pick out estradiol, progesterone, and transdermal testosterone, you're in a good spot and you will get the pain relief. So that's critical, just to understand that those hormones are controlling your pain experience. Cheers. So let's talk about joint pain, joint and muscle pain. So this is what you're going to feel in perimenopause. It might even hurt to turn over in bed. Sadly, that's how much pain disrupts our lives. It does. It's subconscious. You think, you accept it because you're getting older, but you don't need to accept it. You can erase it. You can erase it. So and you can get the HRT in perimenopause. You can get a low to moderate dose of estradiol. You can get your testosterone tested, make sure it's dropped some, and you can do a topping off. You can top off those hormones with progesterone, of course. And that will help your pain early on. I just want you to know this is one of the earliest signals of perimenopause. And that's something, some of us will have a 10-year perimenopause. African-American women are having 10 years of perimenopause. They can go for HRT as soon as possible. Do not just take on this 10 years of pain. It's not worth it. You can get some support, in the hormones. Like I said, I probably spend, $60 to $70 a month on my full suite of HRT. So estradiol, progesterone, and testosterone. So those are all solutions for you. I just want to let you know you can start early. You can start early. The 2017 North American Menopause Society position statement on HRT says it must be individualized. This means you start whenever you want to, and all the benefits start when you start HRT. So you want all those benefits. They're massive. You can email me at jumpstartaip@gmail.com. I have my initial HRT appointment guide for you. And I'm going to add a section on pain. I don't have a section on pain right now, but pain is just a common symptom that pretty much every woman experiences. Let me add that it's important to get that estrogen deficiency solved early. We know that if we go too many years without estrogen, the receptors that are sitting there waiting, like the estradiol's in the blood, it's going to a receptor, that are sitting there waiting, they can disappear and not come back. And we really don't want you to have this pain issue for any extended period of time. You will have your pain resolved as long as you are on HRT. Make sure you get it early and stick with it. Experiment with high doses, because we know that high doses are best for brain health. That the higher the dose, the better your brain health is. And I have one client using 4 patches, 4.1 milligram patches. So she's very young, and the younger women will use more. But Yeah, I found that out this week and I was like, holy smoke. But she was having lots of brain issues. It went undetected for 3 years. Oh my gosh. So that was a nightmare and she's getting that solved. So vaginal pain. So this is um, atrophy of the vaginal wall. It is shrinking, it is shortening. It is going to be a big problem for sex. So they actually know that this is going to happen. Not only your genitals will shrink, but your urinary system all starts to break down. All of that needs the estrogen, desperately needs the estrogen. And the lubrication, so your pain there is partially that shrinkage, that horrible shrinkage, and then any resistance during sex is caused by that horrible shrinkage. Plus, both the estradiol and the testosterone are important for lubrication of the wall, and the testosterone is important for the strength of that wall. So you've got all of those things working against you if you don't get HRT. If you don't add the testosterone, you don't get a strength in that area. So you want to be able to have active sexual activity just like before menopause. And the pain in that area is really going to slow you down, and it's really going to it's very disruptive to your relationship with your partner. And who needs that? We don't need that. Even there might be good reasons to disrupt the relationship with your partner, but let's not go there right now. Okay. I just don't want this to get in your way. We have safe and effective HRT, and you can get some today. Okay, let's talk about bruising. Bruises hurt like crazy. They're really disruptive, and we're very sensitive to bruising because the estrogen is out of our skin levels and our tissue levels near the surface. So you'll notice a lot of older people with lots of black and blue all over them. That is the missing estradiol. If you want to avoid the bruises, then you're going to get HRT and stop that action. It's just a really simple solution. And it really, it'll help you feel better about yourself. Honestly, who wants to walk around with multiple bruises all over? They said the back of the hands is especially sensitive to bruising. So this is all estrogen based. So you add that HRT and solve that problem. All right, so headaches. This is a tough one. There are headaches and then there are migraines, right? They're different animals. Somebody who has had migraines all their life is having the fluctuation of hormones during their monthly cycle, right? So you are peaking at 500 picograms per ml of estradiol in the monthly cycle, and then right before your period and during your period you're down near about 80 picograms per ml. So during that cycle, you have very high levels of estrogen. You have incline of estrogen and decline of estrogen, and all those create different types of migraines. So it's important to know what kind of migraine you have, and then use a specialist to help you determine when to start your HRT. You don't want to create a different type of a cycle, but my authorities tell me that using a moderate dose of estradiol during perimenopause is going to stop the massive hormone fluctuations of perimenopause. So you're going to get some type of a safety net put in for migraines. And so work with your doctor, work with your migraine specialist, and try to get that resolved. Now, on the headaches side, once again, during perimenopause, you're having these really big changes in estradiol level, and that may cause headaches. You may also have headaches due to food sensitivities. I'm so sorry this is happening to you. It is really difficult to figure out what foods to take out. A really good nutrition experiment is to take out gluten and take out dairy. Those two are the most intolerable molecules. They're just big allergens. They usually cause a reaction. So that's a great experiment for you. Try a 30-day experiment for gluten-free, dairy-free, and see if those headaches go away. Now, if you add estradiol, and it seems like the estradiol being added is causing a headache, this might be a histamine reaction. So this is another thing. We have low histamine diets, and then we have antihistamines that you can take to try and play with that issue and see if that's exactly what your problem is. But you want to make sure you have estradiol, progesterone, and testosterone. You're using the right molecules, because if you are using a synthetic progestin, it's very likely that you're going to have headaches. You can't mess with these molecules inside the HRT. That has to be, use the superior molecules. Please find a way. I have a video on progesterone sensitivity if you think you're having a sensitivity. And interestingly, I had a client this week who was trying to figure out if she had a progesterone sensitivity, and she really felt she had one because every time she changed her progesterone dosing, that her symptoms changed. And she actually was trying to do an estrogen only type of solution, and it turned out that it's probably that her brain needs some additional anti-inflammatory support, and it's not a progesterone reaction necessarily. It's just that she switched some genes on in her brain during the fluctuations of perimenopause, and that can happen. So you may need to go to a psychiatrist. You may need to add some psychiatric medications. So keep this in mind, that it's not always the progesterone, just because that's something that you added and that your brain is acting differently. It's not always the progesterone. It can be all kinds of things. So that's one of the things we do in coaching, is we kind of try and sort things out and think of the spectrum of things that could be going wrong. It could be a lot. And I'm sorry to say, sometimes problem solving is just a matter of talking it through to realize, and then we realize, oh, we need this experiment or we need that experiment, right? That's how we solve it. Okay. Let's talk about breast pain. So, as you're going through perimenopause, your estrogen levels are bouncing up and down, high and low. Might be zero some days. You might be skipping periods, and every time you skip a period, you're missing a massive amount of estradiol. So, but another thing that can happen is that you can have a buildup of estradiol in your body, and this can happen reproductive age, perimenopause, and menopause. With HRT. So otherwise, without HRT, your breasts are going to be flat. They're going to be flat. They get this type of pyramidal shape when you add the HRT, and that's normal. But if you're having pain in your breasts and engorged breasts, and your breasts are immobile, they don't move around very much, they're very dense, then that could be a sign that your estradiol is too high. And one of the things that you can do for that is to make sure you have 2 to 4 cups of fiber at every single meal. So this is a lot of fiber. So this is a salad. This is a bunch of vegetables in a stew. You know, this is just a way to get that estradiol moving through your system. So that is one thing that can actually alleviate either perimenopausal symptoms all the way to a long-term strategy for your HRT use. So this is all really important. You are going to want to call the doctor if you have intense breast pain. Do not let this go on. You can experiment with diet and see how that's going to help you manage that, but don't adjust your estradiol dose on your own. I always recommend work with the doctor. Tell them you want the benefits of a higher estradiol and that you're going to try and work on other things to try and get this balanced. If you have any type of cramping pain during menopause, when your periods have stopped, then that could be activation of the uterus, and it could be overactivated. So that's another reason to talk to the doctor. We don't have to worry. Even bleeding during the adjustment phase of starting HRT is normal. The uterus is trying to get used to the HRT, trying to get used to the dose. And if you do a major dose change, you might also have a bleed. You might have to take some time to match your progesterone with the estradiol to the point where you're getting the best optimal results, right? Right? So this is up to you to drive this process. The doctor does not come to you and say, oh, I need to see you in 3 months, and we're going to go through your entire symptoms list, and we're going to make sure that you're optimizing your mental health, and we're going to make sure that everything, all your pain is managed. We're going to make sure everything is okie dokie. That's not the way it works. In fact, for some of my pain management, I use my primary care. I don't use, because it's a general type of a non-toxic medication that I use. So I'm going to use a combination of doctors. And in fact, I've got pain care from my OBGYN through the HRT. I've got pain care from my primary care, which is I use low-dose naltrexone through the primary care, and he is also doing my thyroid medication, so that's him. So we've got some really non-toxic things out there that we can use to support our menopausal body. So why wouldn't we? If it's necessary, we just add it. That it's your experiment. You figure out what you want to try next based on your symptoms. We don't treat anything that doesn't have any symptoms. No. Another pain treatment that's non-toxic, and I just talked about that, is low-dose naltrexone. So I have an ebook on that. That is a totally non-toxic medication used across all autoimmune, all cancer, and even infection. It has so many functions. It boosts your own endorphins, which are low because your estradiol is low. So your body's not able to create as many endorphins, even with the HRT. So I use low-dose naltrexone and have done that since 2013. I did not need it before then, but I kind of had a health crash, and so I was looking for some other solutions. So I have a full ebook on that for you called LDN Use and Research. So that should be helpful. Exercise. Exercise also boosts endorphins, right? It does. So I exercise every day, 60 minutes, and I try to move at least every hour. It is so magical. We'll never have a pill for exercise. We won't. So if you're having trouble putting together an exercise plan, or a movement plan is what I call it, it's important. It's important for your wellness, and it will really help with pain. Anybody that has chronic pain will tell you adding exercise at a non-inflammatory level. It's really important that you don't over-exercise. The problem that real athletes have is after menopause is they do inflammatory exercise and they can't get out of the cycle of pain. Even with HRT, they cannot get out of the cycle of pain. So you have to slowly manage and increase your workouts, but you may never get back, sadly, to a premenopausal level of activity. You may not do that, but I will tell you the HRT will help get you close. It'll help get you close. It's important. Another thing, and this is a little expensive, but that helps with pain, is infrared far red therapy. There's a product out there called Joovv, Joovv, and I'll put a link into the YouTube description for you. But they have some full body panels for infrared therapy, and it is definitely going to increase or decrease pain, decrease swelling, improve mood. Supposedly it's very helpful for wound healing. So this is another therapy that is something that you can set up in your own home The panels will fit on the back of a door. You don't need a special space for this. You could probably use your closet. I mean, it's not that hard. So this is a little expensive, but for those of us who have had chronic pain, it can be extremely helpful. Very, very helpful. So that's always available to you. But don't forget, increasing your HRT doses is probably the number one thing that you're going to do, right? If you're still having pain, you want to increase to at least a 0.1 milligram patch. And the testosterone, you can increase all the way up to 15 milligrams a day. So don't leave these things out of your routines. Do not leave them out. They are missing anyway, so we got to put them back. All right. So in a nutshell, that's an overview of pain. It can be extremely complicated. And I'm so sorry for that. I know you don't feel well, but you'll put together your series of experiments, right? Working with your own genetics, finding your best optimal dose. You'll know your optimal doses by your mental health. You'll feel resilient with the estradiol. You'll feel calm with the progesterone, and you'll feel sassy with the testosterone. It's really great. There's nothing like it. You'll feel yourself again. You won't be a new person. You'll be yourself. So that's helpful. I'm going to put in my little video here on my treatments so that you can see it all in one place. And remember that you're an individual and you're going to have a unique response, but there are universal laws of hormones, and this is worth an experiment. You're putting an identical molecule back into your body. So that's really what happens. Okay, everybody, good to see you again. Please share these videos. We're doing really well. We're reaching a lot of people now. We are reaching almost 3,000 unique individuals every month. All women, but 3,000. That's a huge number of people that are getting solid, helpful information. They get to see somebody who's a happy hormone user who would not live without it, somebody that actually invested more years in research to try and figure out, how does this all work? How do I optimize this? Come for coaching if you need any help. jumpstartaip@gmail.com. Bye.